everyone, and welcome to Crystal's Crochet Cubbyhole. Today is our tutorial Tuesday. Sorry this is a little late. Things have been kind of crazy today, but we are going to do the swirl pattern stitch today. So we'll need some cotton yarn. We'll need scissors to cut the ends, a needle for sewing in those ends. Whoops. And I'm using a 6mm crochet hook. So let's get started. Oh, sorry for the noise. So to do the swirl pattern, we are going to need to do an odd stitch count. So I am going to chain 31. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Then I need to do one more chain for the beginning chain. So for row 1, I'm going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, one single crochet. Now for the repeat of this row, of row 1, I'm going to do a chain 1, skip a stitch, and do a single crochet. So we're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, then do a single crochet, and do that all the way till you get almost to the end, and I'll meet you back close to the end to tell you how we end it. Okay, we're getting closer to the end. I just did a chain 1, so I'm skipping a chain and then going to do a single crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch or a chain as in this instance, and then do a single crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and so your last chain should have a single crochet in it. So single crochet, chain 1, and turn your work. Now we're going to start row 2. This is what row 1 looks like. Row 2 is going to be one of our repeat rows. We will be repeating rows 2 and 3 for the whole entire pattern. So the next 2 rows are going to be our repeat rows for the whole pattern of our washcloth until we get it the width that we want it. So to start row 2, we are going to do a single crochet in the front loop only of this very first stitch right there. Might be a little hard to get a hold of. But front loop only. Do a single crochet. Okay. Then in the next front loop only of the next stitch, do a single crochet. Now you are going to do a chain 1, skip a stitch, which you'll have to turn it sideways to see your stitches. See, right there's 1. So we're going to skip that one, and then the next one over, we're going to do a single crochet in the front loop only. Now the repeat for row 2, we are going to chain 1 after we've done the first 4 stitches. Chain 1, skip that next stitch, and then go in the front loop only of the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and see it's kind of wanting to lay to side. If you look from the top, or kind of flip it over a little bit, you'll see that that's one of your stitches right there. So we're going to skip that stitch, and in the front loop only of the next stitch, do a single crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, then single crochet in the front loop only of the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, front loop only of the next stitch, do a single crochet. Now repeat that all the way across. You're skipping a stitch, and then the second stitch over, you're going to do a single crochet, front loop only. Oh, sorry. Skip a stitch, front loop only, single crochet, skip a stitch, front loop only, single crochet, all the way across. And I'll meet you near the end because it is just slightly different. Okay, I did just now finished doing a chain 1. I'm going to skip the next stitch, which it's really hard to see, but it's that loop right there. And in the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, front loop only, chain 1, skip a stitch, in the second stitch, single crochet, front loop only, chain 1, skip a stitch. Now we only have 2 stitches left, so we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch after we skip one, then immediately go and do a single crochet, front loop only in the last stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. And that's the end of row 2. Now to start row 3, we are going to do a single crochet in this very first front loop only of this first stitch here, and where it's right there with the where our hook's at, it's a little bit hard to get a hold of, kind of. So that very first stitch, front loop only, do a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, and then skip a stitch, front loop only, single crochet, chain 1, and we're going to do that all the way across, and I'll meet you near the end. Okay, we're coming up toward the end. I just did a chain 1. We're going to skip a stitch, and if you need to turn it sideways like that to look at your stitches to make sure you're skipping that next stitch, and then the next one, front loop only, go into that front loop only and do a single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, front loop only, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, front loop only, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, front loop only. In the very last stitch, you'll do a single crochet, and that's the end of round 3. So there's what we've got, and you'll just repeat rows 2 and 3 for the remainder of the washcloth, and then till you get it the width you want. And that is our swirl pattern stitch that we're working on today. So hold on and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, here is the finished product. And I noticed this one, I guess the way the stitches are, it come out kind of smaller than some of the others. You know, depending on what kind of stitch you do. And I still need to sew in my ends. Let me see if I'm back up too. See, there it is. But depending on what kind of stitch you do, some of them are smaller and some of them are bigger, larger. And I guess it depends on how loose the stitch is. But that is a pretty stitch. It was fairly easy to do. Let me fold this up and show you our finished product. And then we will be done for our tutorial for today. But there is the pattern. Isn't it beautiful? Yes. So this is the swirl pattern. You start out with an odd stitch count plus 1 beginning chain, and you repeat rows 2 and 3 for the remainder of the washcloth until you got it the size you want. And you can make it bigger. You know, I did 31 chains to start with, so you can do it larger if you want a larger washcloth. But there is the swirl pattern. I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you later in Crystal's Crochet Cubbyhole. Bye for now.